So our mission is very clear. It's biblical, and there's no confusion in what we do. We have to get our people away from the government. We have to abolish it like our families already have. This government has already been abolished. The new Americas have already been established. These are the private properties that the government has no right to access. And these are the properties that are made self sufficient, completely dependent upon what's provided on the property itself, no outside entity. Our own power, our own water, our own ability to grow our own food, to take care of our own animals and each other and our own institutions as we expand. There are properties where we could build an entire community, from a little miniature hospital to a little miniature schoolhouse to a little miniature patrol station for security that's going to do what law enforcement is not permitted to do on our lands because they're part of the problem. They have no authority there. In order to take away their authority and give it to God, we have to show the capabilities of providing those resources and executing those responsibilities that the government itself is not providing and not executing. But they tell you they are. And as long as people keep voting for them, they will continue to have power over those people's lives. It's very simple. Although other people will say it's not that simple, explain to me how we've continued to do what we've done under the shadow. And at the end of the day, these are private lands, and we can live separate from the world. It's just that people don't want to. There are people that don't want to let go of what they have, ambitions they made, dreams they planned. And that's nothing that we can do other than just to tell people that cast it off, like Jesus told people to. Let the dead bury the dead, cast off your riches, pick up his cross, follow him. He didn't fight to cling to anything that you're fighting and clinging to. With these property owners, there's already agreements in place that protect everyone, including children in the future who are going to come. These are not property owners who can ever say, "Oh no, you can't do this," or "You have to leave now. I don't like the way you're doing." These are property owners who meet me and know me personally. They know my program. They know that I take care of addicts. They know I take care of the homeless. They know that I won't turn anyone away if they ask for help, when God puts them on my path. And there's plenty of reasons why I don't do that, and they've seen that, and I'm able to show them the reasons why that I don't do this. So they have no confusion about our ministry. They have no confusion about chaos. They have no confusion about our enemy. They know that law enforcement themselves may try to obey orders to come and try to invade their land someday, and they might have to defend it. They know. They know the risk of standing up and choosing Jesus and choosing government. They're not stupid. They've already made the decision not to take the mark. They're way ahead of people right now who don't realize how close that time is upon them. And they're looking around and seeing how few people there are around them. And they're like, wow, the remnant should be like hundreds of thousands. And we can't even get dozens. And these are property owners that are just shocked. And the closer globalism advanced, the more they realize that the strength in numbers that they had envisioned, it's not materializing. And they're going to be showing you the ways these properties are made self-sufficient, because there's nothing we're doing that needs to be kept in secret. We want people to know what we're doing. They don't have to know where we're doing it. And we let people know why we're doing it. They may not know every single reason why we're doing it, but they know the core reasons why we're doing it, of what God says is permissible pretty much to let people know, what's not in secret hand. But they also know that we're truthful. We don't want violence. We're not going to fight the government. We're not taking our weapons to fight the government. We're not trying to hang treacherous politicians. We're not trying to do any of that. We have nothing to do with that. That's the world, and we're not to fight over the world. Our Lord and Savior has already conquered Satan's world, and we don't have to worry about anything that this world is going to do. We have work to do, and we have to learn to become self-sufficient. We don't have to do it out of fear. The only thing we have to do is just start working. Property owners are going to be showing you these videos. I'm going to be releasing them on our channel. What I'm doing to help this, so people know just how serious I am with this, I don't make a lot of money in my work as a journalist and then showing stories and stuff. I, I don't I don't make a lot at all actually. I don't have to report taxes. My needs are met by God and their families, and I own my own properties. So, and I know how to live off the land, and I'm grateful that God's given me these skills, and what I require for myself is very small. So I'm even taking a majority, I'm taking 51% of my own income that I make off of my stories and my articles, and I'm putting it towards these property owners and to helping them get equipment, and I'm putting it towards volunteers, the people that'll come out. I want to be able to try to help you. Know that he's prepared these places for my loved ones too. And I know that it's important for me to put in just amount of work and as much sacrifice. So I'm making my own personal investment, just like other personal families are making their personal investment. And we don't worry about stuff for ourselves. So with these private properties, you have your water, you have your power, you have your ability to grow your own food, to harvest your own fruit from the land, and you just have to learn to become grateful for those blessings because everyone else who has water, food, and electricity have something to chain to that, something attached to it that isn't of our Father, that makes them slaves, that puts them further into debt, that has them acquiring more stuff, and doing less good work, whereas you are doing the exact opposite. You're not only self-sufficient, but you're teaching other people how to fish, not giving them fish. You're providing protection and real education for children, not allowing them to be indoctrinated. You're gathering together to worship on these private properties, and they will be expanded. And it's no different than what the Quakers do and what the Amish do, but it's actually one step further, and there's no negotiations, no acknowledgement of the governments. And God has already shown that the taxes that we do not even have to render under Caesar's what is Caesar's, when it's been shown what Caesar is doing at this time, it's an unrighteous government, that he will provide everything we need. The government will have nothing to come for us and tell us we owe it a tax for anything. We are self-sufficient. We grow our own food. We have our own water. We have our own education. We have our own hospitals. We have everything we need. We don't even have to leave the properties of the communities. There are certain things that people have no idea that are available in these properties, and there's abilities to expand upon them. The three properties we're going to be showing you is you will be seeing, and this goes with everything, and those of you that's gone through program modifications in the very beginning of Operation Backyard Brawl, when I told you what you would end up seeing through our missionary work on the border, us going in the desert, you saw everything we told you were going to see, and then you saw then some. You didn't just see the problems we told you that you were going to see in the evidence and the destruction, but you saw a solution all the way up to where these children are being rescued, and these children are still being met with by us, ministered to by us, and they're our family. These are our family members that are protected in sanctuary. They're no different than any of our ministry members. They are considered a ministry member. They're protected in our church. They're a church member. It doesn't matter where they came from or their legal status. These particular individuals that God put on our path are these ones that we're protecting, that we know we're able to protect. So you see all the fruits of the work, but also we have so much more work that needs to get done to keep up with the baskets. The problem is our baskets are overflowing with fruits, which isn't a problem. It just requires us to stage and create a larger basket. And by expanding private properties, expanding our own hospitals, the very thing that we've shown people that we did with Bravo Base. You can go to YouTube and look up Camp Bravo. You'll see a PBS documentary that's about 9 minutes long, and it goes through our program. The very thing we did with that private property, with that infrastructure that took care of 50 homeless people before they bulldozed it, it was up to over 50 people it could take care of and sustain, plus at least 200 people in the immediate surrounding area with food and clothing and blankets at any given time. That's what that one property was doing. A quarter-acre property was taking care of 50 people immediately and over 200 people in the surrounding parks and alleys and neighborhoods. and everything was done without ever taking any money. It had its own hospital. You see that in our program, our MASH unit. That's the same thing we're building on the private properties. It had its own little education center and chapel that was used by Pastor McLean, and a place where people could go and do their applications for jobs or do their little studies and things like that. They had their own little workroom. So they had its own little schoolhouse. Look at it that way. It's the same thing we're adding to the properties. They had their own recreation. That's the same thing we add to the properties. I mean, for children, so they can be kids and play and still do sports and have a life. All this stuff that we did with Bravo Base, we can still just modify it to the very freedom shelters that are being established that are self-sufficient, that where people understand, like when you go to this, understand that you're walking away from the world. And if you look back, you'll end up a pillar of salt. You cannot go and do both, and you have to have that commitment. Now, if you don't want to let go of certain things in this world and you don't feel called to do what we're doing, then you should never put yourself in a situation you don't feel like you're supposed to be in. But if you feel called to what we say and what we say resonates with you and the things that you feel that absolutely biblically, these people are on the right track. That's even your inclination of what we're doing, then we encourage you to have faith in God, because the path that he's laid out before us is either your path, or your path is going to be so similar that the next time you see it, there'll be no confusion and you'll know your path. We have no idea what his purpose is for people, but these properties are available. These property owners need help that they can trust. They need people who are saying, okay, I guess I'm going to start living off the land, and I'm going to live in tents and build myself up to a cabin, to a fob, to my own farm plot land. And I mean, that's what it takes. But that's what it takes to free yourself from the government and to help make these lands more sustainable, because these property owners need hands and feet.